Cyanide, welcome back to another video. Now today, welcome to the debunk. Now, it is the first ever episode and we're focusing on a particular topic this time, and it's basically regarding the allegations regarding Michael Jordan, because there's a lot of claims about his DPOY in 1988, and I want to get my hands dirty and go down in dumps with this because I'm very interested to get into this. Now there's two topics today regarding that: his defensive plays, and we're also going to talk about a claim that's a little bit disingenuous, but it nonetheless it's a semi-hot take. I'm not really like too mad at it, but it does seem a little disingenuous to say that, considering everything. But let's start with the first one. This is coming from Player's Choice, at least I think about a month back, at least now, because I fucked up the recording. So when I literally had this discussion, I had to make it very clear that the person who made that article clearly didn't actually understand what was going on. Now, I will say this, and I will happily understand that this is a thing. Will there be a chance that there will be games where people may, or the statisticians may have or may have not juiced the stats? The answer to that is yes. However, should we say that this man is not capable of getting DPOY?
No.
Now, to prove the fact that there's been times where they have juiced stats is where they put in the first ever year that he had a good amount of steals, which was claimed to have 10 steals in the game, which was June 29th, 1988 versus the Nets. I took a look at that game and I realized that he only had about 7 steals. Now, I looked at that game specifically because I had to pay attention to this, because a lot of people need to understand that Michael is not only fast, but he's very much of a hustle defender. And when people don't pay attention to that, that's where it becomes an issue. He's been like this since his first rookie season. That's pretty much all the fucking guards kind of do when it comes to steals. So I find it interesting how in the world we're getting to this point where he can't all of a sudden get 8 steals a game. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because Mars had the nerve to bring up the fact that he couldn't believe that he got 8 steals in that particular game. And I took a look at that specific game that he was talking about. And he's talking about the game that was November 9th, 1988 versus Boston. And this was 8 steals and a half. And I took a look at the footage for itself. He did. All of them were his own steals. Now we're going to talk about the specific parts that need to be cleared up in this situation, because apparently no one was paying attention and Mars was being a little disingenuous and probably wasn't paying attention. So I will happily say it right here. So when he's specifically talking about that there's certain teammates that help him get steals, he's specifically bringing up the specific part that, and granted, I don't know why people do this, it's when he literally decide that there's a specific teammate behind him. But here's where I kind of draw the line with this, because in this specific game, if you look at the footage itself, it's very clear that, one, Michael was already swatting the ball already. So he swatted once against that opponent. Then the teammate was already behind him, but he wasn't swatting the ball. He was technically not even swatting the ball. I could literally see the footage right then and there. He's literally not swatting the ball. And Mike, as soon as the opponent turns around, Mike swatted again and he got the ball back. So it's not like Mike didn't swat the ball twice. Like, it's very clear that the teammate didn't do shit. He may have literally got the opponent to turn around, but other than that, he didn't even do shit. So the fact that he literally is saying that Michael Jordan was literally getting help from his teammates to get steals is kind of misconstrued, especially considering the fact that if he's already going at the opponent, swatting the ball to get steals, what would be the point? What would be the point? He wouldn't need to do all that. If his teammates are helping them, chances are he's going to do that. Now, I will talk about the last and final steal, which is kind of controversial to a sense, because if you look at the specific play at that point, you would notice that Michael is literally poking the ball the second it gets to Mikhail's hand, which is interesting because you would think that someone's not capable of doing that, but Mike is, because it's been pretty much referenced in the game itself that Mike literally poked the ball. He did the exact same thing to Larry in one of the few steals that he had. That was why I was kind of concerned on why this was a thing that people were kind of like having a hard time with. Now, obviously, I will say this is very hard to tell, but it's also very, very clear that he can poke the ball and make sure it doesn't get on somebody else's hand. Because one thing for sure is that with his long wingspan and the fact that he has big hands, he can literally just go over, stop the ball from even reaching his hand, and then go to the other side of the court. That is something that Michael's definitely capable of doing. So, needless to say, in this particular segment, Michael Jordan is capable of getting 8 steals. Is he capable of getting 10 steals? No. Is there a chance that 100% that the stats can be juiced? Absolutely. Absolutely. But people need to remember that this is very, very, very important information that sometimes that Mars and even some people in Player's Choice tend to literally try to rewrite. Now, we're going to move on to the second segment, which is Michael Jordan's rookie season. Now, a lot of people, and I think this is going by the one and only B Souls, and he said specifically that Michael Jordan in this day and age, if he played in his rookie season, he would more than likely get 29 points a game for his first rookie season. Now, the reason I find this a little disingenuous is because I'm not saying you should rate it higher. I'm just saying that due to the floor spacing and how now the rules nowadays are literally favoring the offense, it's abundantly clear, and I kind of notice this even going forward, that there's a couple of things that needs to be paid attention to. So let's go through his rookie season, okay? Or at least his points, to be specific. He had specifically 28.2 points a game that rookie season. The first ever rookie season he had. Now, the points that will be going over would be different, obviously. But he would have to do this between the regular season and the postseason, and maybe or maybe not lose in the playoffs. If he's playing in the exact same team that he was playing for, which is the Chicago Bulls. Now, I will say this 100%, and no matter what I say in this situation, people need to understand that I am not going to be that type of person to jump his points immediately high. But I will say this, that what I'm going to put up for his is not that high. Like, I can literally see this happening. Now, before we get into that, I want to make sure you guys know his body at work. And I think a lot of people need to understand where I'm coming from this, okay? So, let's start this out. For starters, he is 6'6", 195. Okay, good start for both those two. Now, the last two is very important, which I think a lot of people need to remember. It is very, very important in this scenario. Michael Jordan has a 48-inch vertical leap, which is why he's called Air Jordan for a reason. And let's not also forget, in the words of TSL Sage, paw print. The man knows, and I said this before, the man palms the ball. So, I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say this again. The fact that we're literally sitting here acting like this man is not capable of, one, doing fakes, two, very, very capable of literally keeping the ball away from the defender, and three, is more than likely to walk away from this entire thing, which, granted, I always said this before, is definitely capable of literally holding the ball, making a fake, and literally making either a drive or holding the ball for so long that he could literally make sure that whoever's defending him is literally going on ahead and getting the ball up before the next guy behind him is getting it. Like, again, the best part about this is that when it comes to this, I said this before, I say this again, it's very surprising to me how in the world we're talking about his body at work, yet we assume he can only score 29 points a game. So, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to show what his points are going to be during his preseason, during his postseason. I'll say right here, right now, it'll be very, very obvious. So, within his first preseason, at least around this time, he will get at least a solid, and I say a solid 31.5 points a game. Not that high for him. It wouldn't be surprising at all. Then we go scratching into the postseason, and it'll probably go down a little bit to give him at least 30.7. Now, am I being too generous? Yes and no. If I was being too generous, I would have gave him 35 to 40 points in his rookie season. I'm not doing that here. So, I'm being very reasonable here. So, don't sit here and say I'm being too generous, because I'm being reasonable here. I'm being very reasonable here. Because, first of all, let's back up on the fact that you're sitting here and telling me that a gap between a defensive-oriented era back then versus a offensive-oriented era today, and you're sitting here and telling me he's not going to even get to 30 points a game by the time he comes into the NBA as a rookie. That is actually disingenuous, but also a sub-hot take, so, hey, I'm not too mad at that. So, nevertheless, just be mindful about this, because I think a lot of people need to remember that these are very hot claims, and most importantly, super duper hot takes that just don't need to be there. And some of them are just trying to rewrite history, and some of them are just being a little disingenuous, which is fine. So, please bear that in mind as you watch this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. Also, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. It has been Zed, guys. Later. What you think?